Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the August 16th, 2018 meeting of the Dover Area School Board. If you'd please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mrs. Benko, roll call, please.
Mr. Rawhauser.
Here.
Mrs. Maley. Mrs. Herman.
Here.
Mr. Emig. Mr. Eifert.
Here.
Mr. DeLauder.
Here.
Mr. Deschaux.
Here.
Mr. Cook.
Here.
And Mrs. Britton. Here. 7 members are present.
Thank you. Originally, we had Mr. Stefanovich from the township scheduled to be here tonight, but he is unable to be with us for any presentations. He will join us at next month's meeting with an update from the township. So with that, we'll move into our communications period for the first public comment period. This is a 3-minute period for items on or off of the agenda. If you have anything you'd like to state, please come to the microphones and state your name and address for the record. Okay, seeing nobody. Board President's communication, we will be having an executive session of the board immediately following tonight's meeting. So board members, please plan to adjourn to the room right behind us after tonight's meeting. And I did want to thank everybody for all of their efforts today with the opening day for staff. I thought the opening session was very wonderful this morning. It was a great time. I think the staff got a lot out of it, and I'm thrilled that we had the entire staff here this year too, support staff, professional staff, administration, everybody. So thank you to everybody for their hard work in putting that together today. Mrs. Herman, did you want to add anything to that? I know you were there today.
Okay, I'm going to get corny here. I went home and I said to my husband, "Oh, I want to go back." I won't come back, but I just felt like, wow, everybody loves everybody, and you're all there. I just kept hearing that, "We're here to support you, we're here to support you." I have never felt that good in all my years of teaching. I just felt like everybody was being taken care of. It was wonderful. Thank you, Mrs. Kroom. It was wonderful.
Okay. We'll move on to our committee reports now. First is the Capital Project Steering Committee. Just to give you a quick update on that, Mr. Nelson provided us with some information related to the new building project. The construction trailers, I believe, are beginning to mobilize on the site. A lot of the brush and tree trimming has been accomplished already. The area is totally secured by fencing now. I think Mr. Nelson said there's 4 access gates to that, so that the construction folks can get in and out through that. I never heard the term silt sock before, but apparently the silt sock is up to help with these runoff management. The laydown area has also been installed behind the school for the materials as they're being delivered, so that looks like a big parking lot back there. And the groundbreaking was on Tuesday, the official groundbreaking, so I'm happy to see the dirt moving over there. Mr. Nelson did also state that he anticipates that the foundation should be in probably early October, mid-October at the latest of the building at that point, so things are progressing there. He also provided us with an update on the sinkhole situation at the high school that occurred right before band camp week, actually, at the rear entrance. There was a sinkhole that was about 5 feet deep that was a result of a rotted pipe. And fortunately, he was able to get a contractor to come in and repair that we were pleasantly surprised about $5,000, which we think is very reasonable for that, the fast turnaround, and it was fixed and ready for all the band camp traffic coming in and out of there. So kudos to Mr. Nelson for making all of that happen and taking care of any of that. Mr. Deschaux, is there anything else you wanted to add from the meeting?
The only thing I wanted to add was that we did speak in the beginning that we would like to see maybe some involvement of the students with the building project, taking pictures, learning whatever they can from it. That would be nice to see, both from the high school and the IS building. So that's it.
Okay. Any questions from any board members on that?
Is there any thoughts about traffic flow and things like that with a minimal amount of parking area in the front? Is there any kind of messages that we would need to relay to parents, as far as access or for staff and where they're parking and things like that? Has that all been worked out? I'm just curious how if I was a parent, would there be any changes to how I would approach the school?
I've already spoken to my staff.
Can you please go to the microphone? Thank you. You're very soft-spoken.
She saves that other voice for the students.
I've already spoken with the teachers and have assigned parking spaces out front. I've allotted parking spaces out front for our itinerant teachers as well as for parents to come to the school. So I will communicate with parents that the only parking out front will be during visitation times, that any school events, that all of our parking will have to be in the back or probably on Intermediate Drive due to the limit numbers. So that's what I've done so far.
Thanks.
Any other questions? Okay, hearing none, we'll move on to the facilities and safe and supportive schools. Mr. Rawhauser.
Okay. First policy is number 701.1, naming rights for school district facilities. This will be coming up in our September meeting about how we want to handle if people want to donate money or have names put up, or covers everything and different parts of the school being named. This is something that we will have to decide how we want to handle. It said some schools have halls named, and well, if we want to name the school something other than Dover Area High School, or that's all coming up.
Okay.
That'll be on the September agenda. Policy 700 has to do with facilities. That's section or number 707, which one's the right number? Anyhow, has to do with the way we charge if somebody wants to rent a school. We haven't had any updates since this was done last revised in 2011. It's mainly for outsiders that have no connection with the school as to what we should raise the rates and how we should do that. And that's something that will be discussed further. And if anybody from the meeting wants to add anything, why, I feel they're welcome to comment if I missed something.
Any questions from our board members? Okay. Anything else, Mr. Rawhauser?
That's it.
All righty,
I
thank
like
you.
to keep things brief.
Okay, comprehensive planning and curriculum professional development, Mr. DeLauder and Mrs. Herman.
Okay. We started our meeting off with more of a comprehensive meeting discussion, and that was the mission statement discussion in looking over our comprehensive plan as well as our updated website and things like that. We noted that there were multiple mission statements. So discussion was there was which one we were using as our school. And then some history was given to how the original one was done, and then the subsequent mission statement. So I believe the consensus was the educating and empowering all learners to share educating and empowering all learners to shape the 21st century. So that's what we're going to be using, and that's what we're going to be using for the baseline for our comprehensive plan when we begin that. We next moved on to Mrs. Johnson, who gave us an update on a new behavioral health screener that we're going to be implementing this year in the 7 through 10, or 7 and 9, thank you, graders. Basically, we were able to procure a grant for this program for this year. It's going to be a voluntary program for our students, but we are hoping for 100% participation, and Mrs. Johnson is going to be very persistent on the phone to try and obtain that 100% participation rate. Basically, we're going to do, again, we're going to concentrate on 7th to 9th grade, but this will also be available for any student in the district by referral. So a teacher, a counselor, that kind of stuff can have that done. And basically what it is, it's a 10-minute web-based screening that the students will take, asking them a variety of behavioral health type questions. At the end of that 10 minutes, a report will be generated showing their at-risk status, if any, of some behavioral issues. Those that are being shown any kind of at-risk behavior will be referred to counseling staff within the district, as well as possible outside counseling services depending on the severity of their risk. As I said, it is a 10-minute screening. All students after the end of that 10-minute screening will be debriefed by who's it? Just by one of the counselors in the district. Just what it found. Again, like I said, we will need permission from the parents, obviously, before we do this. I think that's all. And this is a one-year grant. So if we would, depending on what we're finding with our data at the end of this, we may want to consider as a board budgeting for this in future years. Anything else we want to add to that, Mrs. Johnson? Okay. All right. She did a much better job than I did, by the way. So, next, we talked about our PSSA scores, and again, they are very preliminary. We have seen increases in, I believe, all of ours but one, and that was the algebra keystone. Again, they are very preliminary. They haven't had really a chance to look at all the data into their subgroups and those type of things. So that's pretty much where we're at that point. Hopefully, once they get more data from the state, we'll be able to dive in deeper into those and get a better idea of where we're at, where we need to go. And then the last thing we talked about real quick, was there a draft policy of our acceleration policy. And this policy is going to pertain to all students, not just our gifted students. Guideline measures, I can't do it that way, can I? Criteria have been developed to determine the need or level of acceleration. Academics shall be considered to meet the standards of the student first. And again, it just talks about how the criteria for acceleration, to consider the acceleration. And we're looking at both grade level acceleration, skipping grades, or what am I looking for? Subject specific. So that's going to be a draft policy that we will probably be seeing. Will we see it next month? Okay, will we see it next month on that? And that is all that we had as far as discussion. And I said this at the meeting, but I wanted to say it in open meeting as well. Having been on the board now for 5 years, most of you know that my passion is the curriculum of the school. I think that we have some phenomenal teachers in our district who try to do the best that they can, but in years past, I don't think they were given the tools necessary to succeed. And in the last 5 years, every year I've seen an attempt to improve our school district and move it forward. And I got to say, I think with everything that was presented this evening, I think for me, it was the first time that I've seen an actual focused, district-wide focus on what we want to do. And it seems like everybody right now is on the same train, on the same track, and we're all moving in the right direction. So I'm excited for this year, and I'm very hopeful that at this time next year, we're going to see some great dividends with everything. So again, I want to thank Mrs. Kroom and the rest of the staff for your hard work. I think it's going to pay off. So that's it.
Questions for Mr. DeLauder? Okay, Mr. Cook, Human and Fiscal Resources, and Mrs. Brenton.
In case anybody is still under the impression that the budget formulation process is a 2-month process in the spring and we vote on it in May, here to share with you that that's not the case. In fact, the budget process is even beyond a one-year thing where you're looking behind with audits, you're looking ahead years down the road, and that's kind of a continual thing. So although we just recently passed a budget and are just embarking down the road of a brand new school year, before you know it, we're going to be right back into the heart and the throes of, you know, planning ahead for the next year. So with that in mind, come next month in September, we will have a budget timeline that spells out kind of the criteria and what the goals and expectations are for the months to come, with the ultimate goal of reaching a budget passed by May. This year, Tracy and Jen shared a timeline that looks like this, which I'm sure you will all have a chance to see. But within that framework, there's even going to be a stepped up attempt beyond even where we were last year at looking ahead and projecting needs and things like that. From the standpoint of a new building coming 2 years down the road, and what kind of staffing and potential staffing, what kind of potential things might we need when it comes to personnel. 6th grade moving to the middle school, how's that going to affect that grade level and where staffing might be needed there? And even beyond that, we had a discussion about what the potential is with the elementary level and where that might go and what that might look like. So although we're going to be in the middle of a building project for the next 2 years, we can't wait till the end of it to make plans beyond that. So I think, you know, it's going to really be an all hands on deck need for the next few years, so that, you know, we can all be continually working together to take it beyond the end of this building project and so on and so forth. So look for that to come our way next month to kind of get the timeline before us and get it approved. That was the major thing that we talked about tonight. We talked a little bit about the opening ceremonies today, and just like you had shared with the group here about the behavioral health and the concerns there. You know, that seemed to be an overarching theme this year, that, you know, the staff was asking for that, for help in dealing with, you know, how to relate to kids and how to meet those kind of needs. So education goes a lot further than just reading, writing, and arithmetic, and it's not getting any easier. So we talked a little bit about that in our committee as well.
Anybody
Is
have any
anything
questions?
Good.
Yeah.
Questions? Okay. Hearing none, we'll move on to our miscellaneous period. This is for any other comments or observations from our board members. Anybody have anything else tonight?
I do want to say, I know I saw Dennis there as well last night. The ladies at the middle school, or intermediate school, did a phenomenal job at welcoming as a parent. I felt very excited about next year, and it was definitely a great opportunity for the kids to go in. They got to walk through their schedules and to see all the new kids coming in and the excitement. It was a really cool thing. So thank you both for all of your work with everything.
Anybody else? Okay, I just want to wish everybody in this room the best of luck next week when those school buses start to roll in. That's when it all changes at that point. So good luck next week. We have all the confidence in each and every one of you. We're right there behind you. So good luck with all of that. Next, we have our public comment period for anything, again, on or off of the agenda. This is a 2-minute period. You know the routine. All righty, we'll move on to our future meeting announcements. September 18th is our regular board meeting at 7 p.m. September 20th, we'll have our committee meetings at 6 and our planning meeting at 7. So if there is no further business for the board, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, yes?
Yes.
Yes. We're adjourned. Thank you, everybody.